point out the most significant principle of this whole discussion of oil being an atzmi and does not assume a fundamental change, even though it functions through the keli. It functions through the keli, and yet it remains essentially the same unto itself. And now we're talking about the illustration of the sunlight. And we discussed it yesterday. The principle that he's saying is the mashal from the Pardes, that the light of the sun going through a colored glass will appear colored, but that is only a functional effect. But in essence, it remains the same. In essence, the light retains its all the more general color, and it retains the same phenomenon, the same level as it is coming from the sun. I wanted to, since we're finishing the Mama, I just wanted to focus in on the overall and the deepest significance of all of these mishorim of this principle. The Alter Rebbe in Tanya says that when a person is misboining, and reflects upon the enormous variety, both in terms of variety and in terms of enormity of the creation, one becomes affected by this perception of the greatness, and one will then reflect that this greatness is representative of the King who created it. But then, the fact is, you don't see the King, you see only the creations. So he says that the creations are like the garments to represent the king. And in most of this he says that when a person embraces a king through his garments, so there it does not make it's not significant the fact that he is embracing the king through the garments. And this, since that the body of the king is within these garments, and he is embracing, therefore he is embracing the king himself, not the garments. Again, this is like a mashal it's almost simplistic, but we have to reflect of the significance and the message that it carries. Then going back to our mashal of the host and the guest, just to refresh, the setting is the host, the man is inviting someone to be his guest at his dinner table. And at the dinner table, he provides him with all kinds of different amenities. First of all, he gives him a comfortable chair. He gives him a clean place. And then he serves him his dinner, all kinds of different varieties and so forth. And we all understood that despite all of the largesse and all the expressions of affection that comes through that come through all of these amenities, the singular most important thing that he relates to, if he is a bar seichel, the guest, is the presence of the host. And all of these means by which he expresses his feelings for him are only garments to express the real thing. And if he focuses on the garments and he misses the real thing, like we said, and the extreme example, if the host, after serving him this beautiful dinner, takes off and he continues on eating his dinner, yeah, I'm still enjoying the host, I'm still enjoying your dinner. So we consider this idiotic. He's missing the whole point. He doesn't have the whole significance of being a guest by a dinner. You have to understand. All existence. Well, before I jump, I'm going back to the model of the father as son. We spoke about this many, many times. The sun projects light. And in that respect, it actually spreads the light and illuminates the world and so forth. In reality, the principle of light, even as we are benefiting from it, in terms of us being able to see all the things around us and where we're going and so forth, and not falling into a pit and so forth. Again, maybe I'll step back even a step before that. We always see this, that there are two primary koiches in the intellect: chochmah and binah. Everybody knows that the presentation of chochmah and binah, chochmah is the initial perception, concept, and binah is the elaboration that draws from this concept. And ultimately, what does a person walk away with when he knows all the things that he had learned? Is the binah. And yet we say no. Chochmah and binah, these are inseparable friends. It's inseparable. Why is it not separable? Like if you come into this room, and this room encompasses all of the furnishings that are in there, and you walk away by knowing how many pieces of chair, how many chairs, how many tables, how many sforim there are, so that's what you walk away with. If you walk away with that, you're missing the whole point. Because the point is that all of these furnishings and all the amenities that go into this marriage are only representative. The reason they are there is because it's a besmedrash, not because of what they stand for. And if not for the fact that it's a besmedrash, they stand for nothing. Because to sit on a chair just because it's comfortable doesn't compare at all. It's not in the same realm as sitting in besmedrash on a chair. It says, for a moment, you should sit down and say, I've feeling. Just to sit. That gives him a relationship that encompasses in the besmedrash. In other words, the primary reality, like in this case the moshel, the besmedrash, and going back to the chochmah, I'm not going into the chochmah because we discussed many times, but we all know that chochmah, as we said, I think yesterday we discussed, chochmah appreciates and recognizes not what I can understand, but what the reality is. It relates to the actual godly reality that's in the world. And that is what's significant. And then the binah, that's why binah is inseparable from the chochmah, because the wisdom in the binah is the fact that whatever I understand is actually part of the chochmah. That's the wisdom of the binah. Not its ability to identify little pieces. This is the tremendous error, like we always point out, in the scientific is wonderful. But the fact that it separates, it breaks it away from the reality, it's a terrible thing. Because it loses significance completely. That's not what it's about. Coming back to the sunlight. We don't realize it, but the fact is, the reason that light is so effective, has such significance to us, is not merely because light comes, I can see things, but because we already have the perception on the chochmah level of the essence of light, because we see the sun. Because we realize that light is a reality. And then we are benefiting from this reality in our environment. And the experience of seeing things in our environment is not seeing things, but no, we have a real experience of light. Like I always point out, that daytime, sight by daytime, is not seeing things. It's an experience of not seeing is not possible. It's visible automatically. The whole phenomenon of darkness has been alleviated. Because there is such thing as light on a fundamental level, an essential level, like they say only in the sun. Coming back to our Masholim, okay, so this is the mashal of the sun, of the sunlight. It comes out, it becomes, it assumes the color of the glass. So you say that's all it is, it's light in a certain color. No, it's sunlight. It remains sunlight. And the effect of the color of the glass is because that sunlight is mislavish in the keli, but it remains effective sunlight, and its function and its essence remains what it is. Coming back to the fundamental principle in all this, like the Alter Rebbe says that the Guv HaMelech B'Teichei, there is a phenomenal world with enormous variety, which we express in a very brief form in davening every day. The reason that there is such enormous variety and enormity is that this is the oir of the Melech. Because this is representative of because there's the presence of the Melech. This is not like the host who has served you dinner and walked away. He served you the dinner, but he stands there and confirms and gives credence to this. There is reason why it is like that, because look, I'm here with you. So throughout this entire manifestation, We must not, and we cannot, if we have, so to speak, a head on our shoulders, realize what we are looking for, as the Alter Rebbe says. You're looking at the king himself through his oir, through his manifestation. And the reason that there is this manifestation is because, yes, indeed, the king wanted to be with you, and he wants to be with you at your level, so that you would be able to appreciate and also recognize this presence. But ultimately, there is no strength, there's no power, there's no presence to the oil per se. Just like the color of the sunlight, the presence is the sun itself. This is what gives it a presence. This is why we pick up a piece of food and we're going to eat the food. And before we eat, make a bracha. And what's the nusach of the bracha? Baruch Atah Hashem. Where is Baruch Atah means, thank you, bless you. You first person. Where is the first person? You only see the food. Where's the first person? Particularly, as we pointed out many times, it comes in davening, you send Shemoneh Esrei, you stand there like a pillar, like a glump, and you stand in front of the wall and you're saying, "Oh, Baruch Atah, where is Baruch Atah?" This is the problem, because we understand that there is none but the essence, but the Melech. And everything that we see is only a volitional representation that the Melech presented, so that we, at our level, in our orientation, our ability, can identify various things. Just like the sunlight coming through the colored glass. That's what the motion is about. Everyone understands the colored glass. Yes, it mixes color into the sunlight. But what are you looking at? The color or the sunlight? And then beyond that, what are you looking for? At the sunlight or at the sun? As I pointed out, you're not looking at the sunlight. You're looking at the sun, because the principle of light is vested in the sun, not in the sunlight. The sun is what provides the possibility that there be light, because it's the essence of light. This we spoke about many, many times. And that is very important to understand, that the sunlight is not a sun energy. It's not heat. It is light.
What is the...
Sorry?
You're saying that that we're not looking at the sun. That the sun is the real thing. Is the real thing, and it's not. The sunlight is not that we can. So it's not that we can see. So what is the essence of the sunlight? What is that?
Very briefly, we can understand from our vantage point, from a worldly perspective, that if I walk and I hit the table, I know there's a table because I hit it. That is something which, so to speak, naturally makes sense. But I don't hit the table. And I look at the table from a mile away and I see the table. That doesn't make any sense. If the table is a mile away from me and it's just a finite presence, how do I know it? How do I relate to it, see it as a reality from a mile away? I don't even know exactly what it is. And it has nothing to do with me. Again, what is the answer? If the table were, as the idiots say, that it created itself, that question would be a perfectly valid question. It would not be possible. How can I see something which has nothing to do with me? What is the truth and what does this light reveal? That this is a creation, and that the creation has a godly basis, and the godly basis means it is everywhere. It is not just where it is. It is where God wanted you to see it. That's where you see it. Everything that was created represents a godly truth, the godly reality. This is the principle of sight. This is how we see. This is why when we see, we don't get perplexed. How do I see it? It's real. It's there. Why not? Of course it can see it. Because you don't see it because you see it, so to speak, because you found that you hit it. You see it because God made it visible to you. Because everything is part in the godly reality. This is what she-hare means. The first day of creation, God said, let there be light. But there was no sun, there was no moon. I mean, we discussed it many times. Which means let there be light, there's going to be light. Let there be light means there is world and there's a creator. World is darkness. Let there be light means let it be known that there is a creator.
So the sun represents there's nothing but the creator?
What?
So the sun represents that there's nothing but the creator?
The sun is, no, the light, the sunlight. The sun is a means to produce, to bring this light. But the light, the fact that you're able to see it, which says, no, this is not just a creation, there's truth behind it. That's the creator. Let there be light, as mentioned many times in the first day, is a revolutionary effect on the creation. So the creation being just creation, there is a participate in the presence of the creator in the creation. It's like the host with the dinner.
So when you're saying you don't see the sunlight, you see the sun. What is that? What's that? You said you're not just seeing light, you're seeing sunlight. And you said you're not just seeing sunlight, you're seeing the sun. So what's the
What's sun? Because you forgot to. I explained sun is a statement that the light has a fundamental and true presence, not just a functional presence. Like in the sun, there is no such thing as darkness. That's my point. That there is the essence of light, not that there is a functional light. Functional light leaves you in the dark. But essentially, you see things in the dark. The light that was created the first day had to be stashed away, hid. Why? Because that contradicts the materials of the world. That's why it was hidden. Lost it love. And then, as we mentioned many times, then that was vested into the sun. So that now it has the similar effect in the sense that it gives you light in a most fundamental manner, but it's not a miraculous light. You don't know where it's coming from. But there is a sign, so you can interpret it as being the result of sun energy. But in essence, what it does is it actually brings fundamental revolution into the world. We discussed this, for years and all that. My point is,
decades.
Huh?
Decades, yeah.
The point is that and I said the principle of light is representative of the source of light, of the essence. That's why it doesn't change. And in the case of the host shows you dinner. If you see dinner, then you don't see, then you're blind.
Dinner to light is the Creator proactively allowing us to see Him, so to speak.
That's right.
He's presenting Himself constantly.
At our level, that's the whole thing.
Presenting reality.
Right. And this is why the variety is enormous, because every crack and crevice He fills. This is it. Sorry.
All right. We'll continue tonight.
Continue tonight.